This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Jim, take the floor.
This is the January 27th, 2025 Senior Center Building Committee meeting. It is 12:32. We'll call the meeting to order.
It matters, it's February 27th.
Did I say February?
You said January.
February 27th, sorry. That'll be posted wrong.
only your birthday.
February, I'm only
You remember
reading
that.
it. So, so anyway, 12:32. All right, any public time?
I'm here in case I can be helpful.
Okay, great. Thank you, Stephen. Carl, any public time, since you're not official yet? No, okay, good. All right. Libby did get the minutes out, so the one item that's not on the agenda is the minutes, so I'm gonna skip down to number 5 and just go through the approval of the minutes. There, I only have one minor, just typo, Lib. Number 5, cost estimate, letter C.
Hang on 1 second here.
Yep.
Number 5. Okay.
Letter C.
Yeah,
And just before OPM, it just should be AN.
well.
Okay.
In the range of 10% of the construction cost for the OPM and 10% of the construction cost for the
Yeah,
architect.
for AN
Oh,
OPM
and
instead of not.
yep.
Yep, got it. Okay, just a minor thing. Anybody else have
No, I didn't
anything
have
to
anything.
share? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Jerry, second. All in favor? Roll call vote, please.
Jerry, aye.
Kate, aye.
Dennis, aye.
Janet, aye. Libby, aye. Libby, aye?
Aye.
All right, great. So, just a couple quick things before we get into the next step. Well, yeah, I guess review and discuss articles for the warrant. So yesterday, Dennis and I met with Christina Madsen and Chief Illingsworth and Scott and Chris Fowles to kind of talk about moving forward with how to move forward with the special town meeting. And we were made aware that at the last public safety meeting that they voted not to not to recommend combining the senior center and the public safety into one article. So that was the recommendation which will go in front of the select board. I know that we had voted not to use our funding, our estate, our gift towards the OPM. But after a discussion yesterday, we wanted to reopen that discussion to see if it would make sense to
So
use
that was
that
just
money.
for the OPM?
No, I mean, we're gonna use, I'm gonna let Scott go through a little bit of his summary. I know you don't have these documents, Libby, I'm sorry, but Scott presented us kind of like 3 scenarios. If we just do the OPM, if we do the OPM and the soft cost,
What are the soft costs?
and the building cost, I'm trying to see what the difference is.
So-
I think,
Can you back up? So the public safety decided to not combine,
They recommend not combining the two.
they wanted to do it on their own.
Correct.
They want to have their own OPM. Okay.
No, they don't want the articles to be combined. They may combine the OPM, but they don't want the articles to be combined as a large number. And again, the decision goes down to the select board. It doesn't come from
Yeah.
any of our committees, the final decision. But we had some very thorough discussion yesterday, and I'm going to ask Scott to kind of walk us through that, because he created these documents. And I'm going to turn you
Can
around.
she see that? No.
No, she can't.
so
And let me just turn this around, okay, for,
Thank you.
can you see this?
Sort of, not really.
Closer?
A little bit. Boy, this is a pain in the neck for you. This is the last time we'll be doing this.
No, I've heard,
Right, a little bit.
don't threaten me like that. Okay, hopefully you can see some of it.
Okay.
This is the one we kind of sent out, I sent out earlier this week about what are the soft costs for the senior center.
Oh, yeah. So we have a lot of concepts we're gonna have to talk about.
Can you hear Scott okay? Libby?
Yep.
Yes or no?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry.
So it's gonna get a little bit confusing, so to get the terminology right, there's gonna be building costs and there's gonna be shovel-ready costs. We've, in the past, used the term soft costs, which are oftentimes split between the shovel-ready costs to get the project ready to break ground and actually build, and then the building costs. So the shovel-ready costs are essentially the owner's project manager, which the town would hire for the project at usually about 4.5% of the total project cost. And the OPM would then go out and do the architectural and engineering. We would hire another person through the OPM to do that part of it. And that's going to produce documents to actually go out to bid and find a company to actually build the facility. So it would be shovel ready at that point. Afterwards, once that's done, we need to get money for the building costs, which are going to include some quote soft costs. So stuff like insurance and legal fees and clerk of the works and things like that. So the soft costs are kind of like spread out over the entire project. But for right now, we're looking, the two phases of any building would be, the first part would be getting the money for getting it to be shovel ready. So it would include the OPM, the architectural and engineering fees. And that's going to be roughly about 14.5% of the entire cost. Then we need to figure out the building costs, which are going to include some soft costs, but also, you know, how much is it going to actually build put up the walls and the roof, electricity, the whole deal. There's a lot of different ways that we can do this. And the Senior Center Building Committee is a little bit at an advantage because they do have that Parsons estate, so you have a little bit of money to move forward with. And I think that's been some of the confusion. So ultimately, we need to get enough money for everything. The town can't absorb it by itself. Other cities and towns, which are usually a little bit larger, can absorb it, but we're going to have to go before town meeting and voters to get their approval for all this. So initially, these two projects, the senior center and the public safety building, weren't supposed to go at the same time. The public safety had a little bit of a delay when we received the cost. It was a little bit too high, and we wanted to go and redesign it and make it a little bit more cost efficient. And that's actually, we got it just about 2 hours ago. We got the new cost for the public safety, which is about $21.3 million. So it's a pretty significant reduction. They don't have any set funding like you do with the Parsons estate, so they need to get costs for both the shovel-ready cost and the building cost. In order to do that, there's a lot of different ways. So some communities will just say, we're going to lump it all in together, and we're going to go to the voters and town meeting and just ask for the entire amount. So when you wrap everything up together, it's going to be about $48 million for the senior center, for the public safety, all the soft costs. So we pay $48 million and we can get 2 new facilities. Some towns will go directly to the voters for that entire $48 million. Other towns will do a different strategy. So initially, we were going to ask for the shovel-ready cost for the public safety and the senior center at this special town meeting in March. If it was approved, then we would go before the voters for the shovel-ready cost. So it would be roughly a little bit about $5 million. If that's approved, then we would move forward to the next phase, probably in the fall, where we would get the rest of the money, the $40+ million. You'd have to have another special town meeting and then another special election to finally approve that. And that would give us funding for everything. One of the public safety wanted to split it apart. So the original plan was to go into the special town meeting in March with one article, so one ask for town meeting, with the entire shovel-ready cost, about $5 million.
Let me turn you around, Libby.
Sure.
Turn you, sorry. Sorry.
That's essentially the, if you think of about a pizza or a pie, that's essentially the slice of the pie. So one slice for the spring, and then we would have to get the remaining of the slice, remaining of the pizza pie in the fall.
And the one slice would increase the tax for the year by like $70.
Right,
If
so
we
if
did
you-
one slice.
So if you
per-
look over
per
here,
household.
let me just, oops. So the slice part, so I broke it down into combined and then individual.
Okay, you're going, are you getting dizzy?
So the first column is public safety, and that's just their shovel-ready cost. So it'll be about $3.3 million. For the senior center, just to get it shovel-ready, it would be about 1.7, and combined, it would be about $5 million. Now, you can ask town meeting for one article for everything for the $5 million, or you can split it up where they vote on the public safety, the 3.3 separately, and then they vote for the senior center, the 1.7. And then just for reference, this is how much it would impact the average. It's a very rough estimate. It doesn't include interest, so take it with a grain of salt. So this is how much it would actually impact the taxes. So individually, the public safety shovel-ready costs would increase at about $43. The senior center a little over $20, and then together about $70. Everything would be wrapped in together.
And this is annually per household?
Yeah, for
Annually
the
per
average.
household, yeah. Average, right, average.
Then we go forward to the actual cost of the building. And this hasn't been updated for, it's gonna be a little bit lower than that, but, so essentially we would have to have, to get this done, we would have to figure out, do we do it individually or together at town meeting? And then we'd have to have a special election, and both of these would have to pass, whether it's together or individually. Then this is the rest of the pie that we would have to get the rest of the funding for. So for the public safety, there would be a remainder of about $26 million. For the senior center, it would be about a little bit under 14 million. And then the combined ask would be about 40 million. And this is where the numbers get a little bit more real. So it would be about an impact of 350 for the public safety, 180 for the senior center, and combined about $540. And don't forget, that's not including this, so if everything was to pass, it would be an average impact of over $600 on the taxes, once everything's said and done.
And why doesn't it include this? I'm confused by that. Because you have both soft costs and...
So this is just for the
just-
shovel-ready
Okay,
costs,
and the next one is just building costs plus...
and
plus-
this is actual building.
Okay. So these soft costs are
These
different
so- yeah.
than the first soft cost?
So this is just the OPM
Okay. So
and the
it's
architectural,
Okay.
and this
Okay.
is to get it shovel-ready, so ready to be built. And then this would be the actual building,
Okay.
putting up the walls, everything.
And
So-
some of those soft costs would include furnishings, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So it is
furnishing.
different from the other soft.
Right.
So soft costs are spread out in the entire project. So we would have to do a special town meeting, special election. Then fast forward, another special town meeting and another special election to get all the funding. There is another approach that some towns will do, and this is, they will just go to the voters for everything all at once. So the entire $45 million project for both of them, you can go before the voters. Or you can also split it up, but essentially you can present the public safety building, total cost, everything. You could present the senior center total cost, everything, and have votes on each one of those. Or you can present them as one entire package for town meeting and special election as well. And that obviously would cut out the special, you only have one special town meeting and one special election. For. One of the things that we talked about yesterday was we have a special town meeting scheduled for the 22nd, and the idea was to put the shovel-ready costs for both the senior center and the public safety for town meeting approval as one warrant. The public safety wanted to split it out so that town meeting would be voting on the public safety shovel-ready cost, $3 million, and the senior center shovel-ready cost, the little under 2 million. Then it would go to the voters. There's no crystal ball or magic wand, so we can't really predict what the absolute best way to do it is. I mean, the weather could be really bad one day and not a lot of voters turn out, or it could be a beautiful day and a lot of voters turn out. Same thing with town meetings, so there's no real, it's only putting each project in the best position it can to succeed. I didn't think splitting it apart would be a good idea. Given the cost of the public safety complex, I think it would harm the chances of the senior center being passed if we split it out. So we had an idea of moving forward this spring with just the public safety costs. So this special town meeting, we would be requesting $3 million for the public safety, and then that would have to go to the ballot in May for the voters' approval for that $3 million. Then we would have to go back to a special town meeting in September, more than likely, where we would take the remainder of the public safety costs and then the building costs for the council for the senior center. Now, the good thing is that you don't need to pay the OPM or the shovel-ready costs because you already have that $2 million, and that's going to cover it. And you don't have to spend anything until the final vote that's approved either. So we would go to the special town meeting in September for both projects, either combined or separate. And then in November, it would go for voters for their approval, either combined or separate. And that would allow us to move forward with everything. So each step of the way, we're going to know whether or not we progress. With the previous concern of having the $2 million and spending it on the OPM and the architectural fees earlier than getting a final vote, I don't think you have to worry about that as long as we do the final vote in fall. We can move forward with both of those projects and get the RFPs ready for both the shovel-ready costs for the Council on Aging and the public safety complex. And those would be essentially contingent on the town funding the rest of the project. So we won't know until really May 20th is the town election. So we won't know until the public safety passes until then. It's going to take 30 to 60 days to get the RFP together and out to bid, and it's going to take another 30 days for us to even receive bids on that. So we're going to be into September anyways. So you're not going to be spending any money until September, at which point we're already going to have the special town meeting scheduled. So you go for approval for the building costs for both projects. And then come November, the final vote would be for both projects.
It has to be 35 days after. So depending on when the special town meeting is in September, it's possible we could get that in late October for the ballot before the time changes and it's dark earlier. and-
Yeah, because there are no November state elections this
Right.
year to tie into a regular ballot election.
So it's going to be an extra election no matter what.
Right, there's has to be a special election for us, no matter what. It might be just a one question or two question ballot. But, yeah.
Which is up here.
Thoughts from the committee? Hi, Ted. Ted has joined us, Libby, and Chris has joined us, okay.
So, question regarding senior center. Assuming this is like, are we still planning on going the capital campaign route and trying to do fundraising towards the building, or has that been discussed?
No, I think we're going to do some, but I think we also have a reality that in talking with Westfield and Holyoke, they were able to raise $1 to $2 million.
Okay.
Okay, this is, I don't,
And they're
realistically, I don't see that, maybe in 10 years, we could raise money and then the cost everything we raised is gone,
Yeah.
Okay.
eaten up by the increase in cost.
Okay.
So we will do some kind of capital campaign, but it's not going to be this is Janet talking, I'm not an expert. It would be challenging to get more than $1 million in, I think. And again, this is me talking. So I would love to get $1 million, right? So, but I don't want to leave the impression, and we all know that federal grants are kind of questionable right now. So things that may have been accurate a couple years ago are uncertain at this time. And as much as I would love to raise 5 million, I think we have to be realistic too. I mean, we can try, but we don't have the industry in town. We can reach out to Holyoke and Westfield for maybe some of their industry and Northampton, but I just want to be realistic. So our capital campaign, I don't want to give an impression that this is, again, me. Other people may feel differently, that we can raise $5 million in a reasonable amount of time.
The town would also have to front the money. And then
Right.
from the money that you raise,
We would reimburse. So the borrowing would already happen. Okay.
So the change from our last meeting, so if we're all on the same page, is that we sort of decided last meeting that we would want to take the money we have toward the construction costs, so we could lower that. Now we're talking about using that for the soft money. So we're not going to lower the construction costs,
Yeah.
because it's going to take that.
And I think our idea was, let's see if the soft costs pass, and that'll give us a sense of whether or not we have the support for the, $12 million on top of that, right? So we're back to the slice, Libby. The one slice.
I'm still a little confused.
Okay.
So, Scott, did you say that now we're only asking for the public safety at the special town meeting in March?
That's under discussion, yes.
Yes, and then if that passes by the ballot vote, the town meeting and ballot vote, then we would ask for shovel-ready costs for both projects?
In like a September meeting, yes.
Building costs and
Building costs,
costs.
yeah.
I have to listen to the video again.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But, yeah, and
So
we'll
we
get
won't have a role in this.
in this one. There may be questions that come up that we'll need to answer about, well, where's the senior center? But,
Is that what our committee wants to do? I guess that's what we're discussing.
that's what we're
That's-
discussing.
yeah.
Yep, because we already had a motion, to do other things, so we're just reevaluating
Okay.
and trying to get a sense of what the committee members feel.
And I think, Larry, just to, I think it's really hard, this is Chris talking, it's really hard to get the temperature of the town, which I think was the intent of trying to do this combined one to start with anyway, and just sort of see where it goes, but trying to figure out where our worst risks might be. The goal, I think, overall, and I'll speak for myself, but I think it's for most people, is we want to see both of these pass. So how do we strategize to put ourselves in the best possible position to advocate for both of them in front of the town? We feel that there's a pretty strong support for the public safety complex that's been building for years.
Yeah, they're 10+ years into that project, right?
And, there's certainly some for the senior center. It may not be as strong as for the public safety complex. So how do we, get them both moving, but not jeopardize one and play it against the other? And it's
It's a dilemma.
it is, it's a dilemma. It definitely is.
If anybody has the right answer, please speak up now, because it's I think, and on the article, it will basically share what the cost of building will be of the public safety, so the people will know that they're voting for maybe 3 million, but on a project that's going to cost,
Way more than that.
yeah,
30 million or
About
yeah.
27 million.
27
I haven't
million.
updated the
Yeah.
numbers, but about
yeah, 25 to 27
So
million.
this is a
right?
tenth of what they're going to be asked for the
Right.
public safety complex.
But before they vote on that, they will know what
Definitely, you've got to
yeah.
present the entire package so that they understand what the how the 3 million even got derived.
So they won't see, really, if we decide to, if we agree to do that, they won't see anything about the senior center in March. All they'll see is, what we go through tonight at the workshop and how people feel about placing things and the feedback from that. So they know it's part of the project, because it is a project. It's, if we combine the OPMs and the A&E, architectural and engineering, will people vote for both, or if people aren't supportive of the senior center, will they then not vote in favor of the public safety because they're
Right.
combined? So, so we're trying to, as you said, minimize our risk, I guess, so that both projects can move ahead. And again, public safety's been around much longer than we have, and from a project standpoint, so.
So come the fall with the, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. When we ask for the building related costs, will those be combined or they'll be separate?
Right now, we're
Another
talking
discussion.
about,
That's,
Because, like,
that'll
what
be an
happens if
August
we-
discussion.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, because it's like what happens if we put the upfront costs for the soft costs and then they get separated in the fall and senior center still gets turned down?
Mhm.
Where does that leave us at that point?
You really won't be dipping into the soft costs.
we
won't
wouldn't
be
have,
spending
we wouldn't have
anything.
spent any of the
Okay.
soft
I mean,
costs.
we can't, honestly, until after the ballot is done, it's not just the town meeting, because it could pass the town meeting and not, not pass the ballot.
Well, and I think too, just maybe, I'm not sure if this is your question, but part of what we've been talking about, right, was the combined OPM and two separate A&E, right?
Right.
So even by going solo with public safety now, that doesn't preclude the fact that when we put the papers together to go out on the street, that we would be giving the option for companies to bid in as a joint OPM. So I mean, that's all in the wording of the RFP that goes out on the street in
Right.
terms of, you may be, you can bid on both.
You give us two quotes, one
Yeah,
separate, one
one separate,
together,
one
shared.
together.
Project. So I mean, we're not losing that concept of a shared OPM. It's just that we don't have to really talk about it early on, for this purpose. But I think back to Kate's cost. So the remaining pie is what would be asked for at the September meeting, which would be, I can't see the cost there, just about 30 or something. That would be the rest of everything. So that
Everything.
yeah, so that doesn't include the current 2 million-ish that was on this single pie thing, right? For the senior centers, 1.8 million for that. Because right now, that would be at least preserved by having access to the Parsons estate money. Okay. But again, as Janet said, it wouldn't be used. It's still going to be sitting there accumulating interest. It's in the investment account.
Right.
Hopefully, things will keep on growing and we'll have a pretty good total. I mean, it's been doing okay so far, but who knows where that's going to go. So that could be used by the time we needed it in November, December, whenever. But this would go to the voters, the way I'm understanding it, for the actual real building and soft costs for both buildings together.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about your slice.
Mhm.
You just have to worry about the rest of the pie.
Right.
And is there the one thing I'd like to try to represent if we don't do that is,
Yeah.
like in this handout, so, of the one slice. So the senior center is, 1.7 million, estate, 1.7 million, average tax increase, 0. I mean, if there's a way to, because people are going to say, well, where's, I don't know how to do that, whether it's a handout or something, it's certainly not an article. Can you vote on this article not to spend any not to spend any money and get the OPM? Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's the point, because I think no matter what, even if the senior center were not on the warrant for this special town meeting, it's still going to be a question from the audience. We're
It
still
will
going to
be.
have to address it.
Yes.
Right, so we're still going to have to say, look, this is the estimated cost for this. We're not coming to you for this right now. We're really focusing on public safety to get them moving along. But
and again, to try to get the understanding that that cost will be paid by the
Correct.
estate, so that
yeah,
people are aware that, because the question is, where's the $2.4 million,
right. So we found that on the next slide, Scott, the total was whatever that was.
Just
for
meant
the
Libby.
seniors was-
Libby's got a question, I think.
If that's
Right. I mean, did we ever decide, previously we decided that we were going to spend the estate money on the construction.
Correct.
Right.
So this is different.
This is different.
We would have to have another motion to do that, Libby, because we have a motion not, to use it in one place, not the other.
Right. My only concern would be that the will said for the, it was very vaguely worded, but I don't want to spend all the money and then not get approval to get it constructed.
Well, and again, if it doesn't pass in the fall, then we haven't spent anything.
Agree. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, it's very clear in the will that the money is to be spent solely on a senior center.
Right.
All right.
So is that what your concern is?
Yeah, so in the fall, we'd be going for everything or just for the total construction cost as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So the
Right.
13 million,
Right.
which doesn't include
Okay.
the OPM and the architect and engineer.
So I think what you were saying, Janet, for that 13 million total, is that, no, that's not the big pie. Where's the whole pie? Sorry. That's not the total though.
The whole pie is,
Oh, no, the whole, no, but just for the senior center, whole pie, sorry.
Let me get that.
Yeah.
So this column right here.
Middle column.
Yeah, this
So
so
middle
the
column.
1.7 would be zip,
Right.
zip.
So that 1.7 is what Janet, you're saying, would
Right.
show up as zero,
Right.
Right.
because that could be money from the estate to cover that, for example.
And then the remainder would be taken out, like 400, 500.
Yeah, whatever's left over.
Right.
Well, however much it grows between,
Yeah, and then,
So I mean, you may end up with a $13 million project, right? Versus a $29 million, $30 million project for public safety at the same time. Is that right?
so our total would be 13,860 or less, maybe 13 million for the whole package if you take out the 2.4.
So in September, if you go for the whole thing, we're at a meeting, and someone raised their hand and said, we'd rather go for this separately, separated out, what happens at the meeting?
Yeah.
That's sort
Because
of
that
the-
question is absolutely gonna be asked.
Yeah, it is a possibility at town meeting, if you combine them, you can break them apart. by
You can do
voting
that
town
on the
meeting.
fly at the town meeting?
Make a motion or, yeah.
Okay, just because,
And I don't think it's been decided whether you're combining them all in September or not, right? I mean, that's still too,
that's still.
as we're experiencing lifetime, those things shift.
Yeah.
So,
I think you've got to get a sense of how this would go, not only in March and May. I mean, March, as we know, we've done many things, even overrides. We've done relatively okay at town meeting, but it's the ballot box that sometimes is our obstacle, right?
Most
So
times, yeah.
more people will come out to vote than will show up for town meeting. So I think we have to get through
Right,
May
right.
and figure out, okay, here's where we are, now what do we know? And if this got knocked down singly by public safety even, if that were by itself and got knocked back, they've got to go back to square one,
Right,
right? So.
Yeah.
right.
and then we would be hopefully maybe in a
You'd be
special
different
town.
position, yeah. So
you
Yeah, I
it's
know.
a moving circus,
And
frankly.
at what point might we talk to the public about the fact that the safety complex has been reduced, right? From what it was to what it's proposed to be now. Senior center has been reduced from 15,000 to
Square feet.
12,000 square feet. I mean, I think that has to be clear to people, I think, that's.
That we've taken those actions.
We've taken that, here's what we've done so far to reduce, knowing the burden on the
Yeah.
taxpayer, blah, blah, all that. When will we talk about that with the public?
Over the next 6 months. Coffee hour or repeatedly. Exactly.
When do we explore into the home rule for those folks that are property owners, that are senior citizens? And I don't know if it's just senior citizens or an income level below a certain amount. I mean,
The one-
don't we have to go to the legislature,
Yeah, if you wanted to
get
go
that?
on that, the exemption over a couple
Yeah,
years
yeah.
for seniors, if you want to do that, that would be special town meeting in
Okay.
fall.
In
It
the
would have to
fall.
be a special
Okay.
town meeting.
And
And
then
I think
it'd
a
have to be
couple years
approved.
isn't gonna be enough, honestly.
No,
Well, that's, yeah, exactly.
That's the
So
other.
then what has to happen with the legislature?
It would
Yeah, it
then-
has to be.
The legislature would have to approve the home legislation signed by the governor.
Is that the House or both, House and Senate? More of the House that,
Yeah, I think it's just the House that does
Yeah, I
the
think
home
so.
legislation. I
Okay.
don't think the Senate does.
I'd have to say,
The license was just the House.
Yeah.
No, it has to be both because the Senator Vilas was with the
Yeah.
Whole Foods. So, yeah, it has to be both.
Gotta get to the governor's desk somehow, so I would think both would have to do
Yeah.
that.
Ted?
I have to say that what Dennis just brought up would be extremely important. When this first comes up at the town meeting, I think there needs to be a very brief review. You know, when we put this out, this is what came back, this is what cost for these things. And just so you know, we've gone back and spent months and months to reduce the footprint, to reduce the cost to you. This has already taken place. So the numbers you're looking at, okay, are, you know, they're
Trimmed.
they've been significantly trimmed because we're aware it needed to happen.
You could ask the moderator to present the feasibility study at a special town meeting.
Well, that takes care of us, but we're not gonna be on the special town meeting, so you
Right.
really.
No, but as like a specific article for a town meeting to receive the feasibility study of the senior center, and then you would be able to speak and talk a little bit about the history. That might be a way to start getting it out there.
Well, I think the other is the public safety as well. So, I mean, we could also have handouts that, so people walk away with that
Something,
information,
yeah, I
because I
think
think a 5-second conversation or whatever, we're like, what did they say about that?
Yeah, that's excellent, yeah.
Yeah, as a thought, too. Either, you know, both, possibly.
Oh,
That's been my concern. How does the average voter comprehend this other than reading news? And kudos to the work that both committees have done, one over a decade, you guys as well. That has to be appreciated. Others have said it more eloquently, but that's the big challenge.
So I guess we'll probably request some kind of thought, idea of a motion on how the committee would like to proceed.
Yeah, and what it will be is basically a recommendation, because this has to be taken up by
Right,
select board,
right.
so.
right.
But I think where public safety ended up yesterday, or the day before, whatever day it was,
What's today?
I don't know. But I mean, they were leaning toward just their slice the other day.
And that was a motion, and that was a second, and that was approved by their
By
committee.
their committee.
Wasn't just discussion, so. Anybody want to take a shot at a motion here? Don't look down into your tablets.
Chris is so good about bringing together all these little pieces.
Doing that, if they happen up in Turner's too, they had a chance to get a nice $5 million state-of-the-art highway department thing for $500,000, and they turned it down.
Yeah,
And we turned down
it
the
happens.
public safety for 10 million.
For 10,
Yeah.
here, yeah.
People just look at the bottom line sometimes and not look.
Yep. And as good as having a handout at the special town meeting or speaking a couple minutes on it, that's maybe less than 200 of the total
No, it's gotta get out
4,000
broad enough. I
voters.
mean,
Yeah,
that's good, but it's
that's a
gotta get out.
start, right,
You know,
right. That's not the end all.
Bigger and better than that, so we've got to get some news coverage, we've got to get, however we can do it. Absolutely.
You want to take a shot, Ted? Or
Well,
you have something else you want
I
to
came in
add?
late, that's gonna be hard. But I mean, maybe we could talk it through a little bit, like,
Yep.
you know, in a minute, somebody would make, or somebody can make a recommendation, is gonna make a motion that we would recommend to the select board that at the town meeting in March, is that right, the special town meeting in
Yes.
March? That the following would be what?
Right. So, I mean, is everyone, how does the group feel, the committee feel about using the estate funds to cover the OPM and the architect and engineer cost, which is kind of the reverse of what we had talked about initially. So I guess we need
Do we
to,
have to do that now?
well, we're not, I think because the articles are probably due soon,
But maybe your other, maybe the.
that's the
first-
step one I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's easier just to think about it as, the notion would be that we would agree or not agree to not be on the town
Article.
meeting warrant
Yeah.
for the special town meeting in March. If we're agreed with that, then we go for that part, maybe?
Yeah, that's probably a better way to do it.
Well, the only reason we would agree to that is because we're gonna pay for the cost of the estate.
Right.
I guess that was that was the motion that we had in place. And, I mean, I agree with you, that's, you know, if we vote not to be on the warrant because we have agreed to pay for the OPM and A&E from the estate. So if that is,
Well, there's still another option. You could be on the warrant, but separate from public safety.
right,
So you could be on there if
Right,
you wanted
right.
to for March, and just by yourselves, and public safety by
Mhm.
itself. So that is
that's
the
it,
other
those are
option,
the other
too.
options, yeah.
But
I'm not, I don't know how people feel if that's strategically more sound than, because if we were on it and we, for the OPM and A&E, then not from a borrowing perspective. If we decided to, I mean, we could do that and not use the estate for those purposes and stay with our original vote. I just don't, I'm rethinking whether that's, as much as I wanted to test the waters, you know, if that's really gonna be effective to be sort of like in a competitive place with public safety, because I don't feel like we wanna put ourselves in competition with each other. That's,
I agree.
I don't think that's a successful plan.
can you just show back on the slice? Sorry. I know we've
Going
got
back
it
to
in
the
front of us,
slice.
but- So, Libby can't see it, sorry.
I think that something needs to be, or should be said at the town meeting, that the public safety complex is more critical to the town in terms of safety and everything else. And that's why, you know, I assume that's why want to let that move forward first.
And that's true but once we vote them all in the fall, that's kind of like not as accurate to me. If we're gonna back off a year and let them move fully forward without us moving forward for another year, then that would be,
All right, I get your
you know what I'm
point.
saying?
Yep, I do.
And I don't think I know I feel it's extremely important to have a public safety complex.
Yeah, and I look at it, if you were not to be on it this go-round, and we were just looking at the 3.3 million or whatever that is for public safety, then by the time we got to September, it would be, we'd need to make it known that our, whatever, 1.8 million for the senior centers OPM and A&E would be covered out of the estate cost. That would garner major
Support.
I think.
I mean, it's got, yeah, whether,
Which would more easily allow you to just combine the two building costs.
right,
'cause
right.
I
That's
think
my
that would-
thought, plus some of the crystal ball at that point may be illuminated. You
Yeah,
may have a sense of
yeah.
how supportive people are going to be.
The one good thing about the fall is we're gonna have an entire plan for the area.
Yeah.
March
Right.
22nd is gonna be a little bit difficult, but we're gonna have the land use
Right.
planning completed. We're gonna have a better option on the sewer. We're gonna know about where they're gonna be located, if it's gonna be housing, parks, recreation, so we can really present that as an entire package for the entire thing.
Yeah, that's true. We
Yeah.
don't really have a. Yeah, I mean, so we reflect in the fall that 2.4 is coming off of, and it doesn't matter which one it's coming off of. If we're not gonna use the money beforehand, whether it comes off of the 1.7 or if it comes off of the
Right.
13,
Right.
it just reflects that,
Right.
where that's being used.
That's a change of opinion for me. I was big into just keeping it for the construction
The building.
cost. But now, I think it makes more sense to do it this way.
To me, it's a project cost.
Right, yep.
It doesn't matter whether you
Right.
spend it for A&E or, and
True. True. Yep.
I don't think you're really changing the concept.
I guess I just thought, well, we're gonna, here's the expense for the construction, we're gonna lop 2.5 million off of it
Yeah.
and use it for, and that might be something that would resonate with people, but you're right. It's all part of the big package.
Still coming off of the bottom line, right?
It's all bottom line stuff.
So would our work kind of be put on hold until all this, like what happens in the meantime if we're not gonna be at the vote in May?
I guess we'll figure that out. Maybe not have an answer for you today, but
Yeah, but like, do we just kind of pause for the time being then?
it could be, but I don't think it's a total pause.
Publication.
There's a lot of work to be done, yeah, to education.
I meant on like the
Outreach.
OPM type side and all that.
Well, if we haven't, yeah.
Engage with the planners, because that's real. That's the realization of your vision. It's got to land on people's ground and have neighbors.
And assuming that the public safety gets passed in March and May, we would still, at the same time, once we have that, we're still gonna move forward with both of getting the OPM bids ready. So there's gonna be a long time, that's what we'll focus on internally.
Right.
But then we
That
can
makes sense.
reflect that in the, on the
Right.
warrant in the fall. Okay. So, here we are again. Do we have a motion whether to disband our article for this March 22nd warrant? Do you want to take a vote on that? What, Liv?
Yes, how are you wording it? To
Well, I'm
disband it?
just,
Okay. Because I started writing stuff down when Chris was talking.
Okay.
so-
Good. Well, maybe.
okay, do you want,
Well, what do you have there?
those weren't the exact words of the warrant, I was just, so do you want to use Chris's
What did I say,
words?
Libby?
Yeah, you want to use Chris's words, Libby, read them back to us, please?
Well, yeah, kind of. Chris made
Cryptic.
a motion to recommend to the select board that the town meeting in March, that the senior center agrees to not be in the warrant, and also agree, and maybe this is the second part of the warrant, we agree that we will pay for the OPM out of the estate funds at a town meeting later in September. Does that cover it?
Wait,
I said-
Is that what you said?
It's
Something more or less.
No, I'm just
That's what
kidding.
the people said.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that as one,
Well,
Is it missing
Or two.
something?
my only challenge there would be that since I'm on the select board, to make a motion to the select board.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I thought Libby was making the motion.
Somebody else's
Libby made the
mouth.
I think Libby made the motion.
Libby made the motion.
Libby
Oh,
made
good.
the motion.
Do we need to
Motion
clarify
to
that
the
we're gonna-
select board that the town meeting in March, the senior center agrees to not be on the warrant. We
Okay,
also agree, maybe this is a second motion, that we will pay for the OPM out of the estate funds at a town meeting later in September. You want two
I don't know that we
motions?
need to be that specific about the OPM at this point.
That will, how do you want to say it? That we will pay for the OPM out of the estate funds? Or that we,
Or that the funds
Or
will
that
be,
we will have the option to pay for the OPM out of the estate funds
the,
later in the year
yeah.
when it comes to
Yeah,
the
when-
the
warrant.
estate funds
Okay.
will be applied to the project, not even be
Yeah,
that
will be applied to
specific.
the overall project depending on the needs when it comes to the
Right.
special town meeting later in the year.
Jerry has a,
This-
let me just, Jerry's been trying to say something, so let me,
If you're putting this in a warrant, do we need to clarify that we're gonna pay for the OPM portion for the senior center?
yeah, it's not, this, we're voting not to be in the warrant is the first part of
That's the
this.
first part. So we're not in the warrant.
So we're not in the warrant
We're-
For March.
until September timeframe.
But
Does that
then in
answer your-
September, we may wanna clarify that.
Yeah,
Yes.
come September, right.
Yes.
Right. Ted?
Well, I would just, in that motion, I would just put in Parsons Estate, so it's clear to people, rather
Okay.
than just say
what
the
is-
estate.
Yeah, the estate.
So it's
of
clear
David
it's the Parsons
or
Estate we're
something.
talking about.
Okay. You want to try that one more with David Parsons Estate in there?
so there's two motions here.
Okay.
Um,
First motion is,
I am, Libby L. Baldwin, made a motion to recommend to the select board that the town meeting in March, at the town meeting in March, that the senior center agrees to not be on the warrant.
okay, do we have a second
I
for that
second it.
motion? Dennis seconds, okay. All in favor? Do we have some discussion? You have
No.
another discussion? Okay,
No. Let's
Jerry.
get a vote.
okay.
Jerry, aye.
Aye.
Kate, aye.
Aye.
Janet, aye.
Libby, aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, motion number 2.
Yeah, this one isn't as clear.
Wordsmith.
Libby made a motion, to agree that the Parsons estate funds will be used for project costs later in the year. how did we say that?
For a future article,
Or,
Yeah, the Parsons Estate funds would not be used until a special town meeting warrant and election later in the fall.
does that impact what Scott wants to do? I mean, we aren't gonna spend any money
Not
right
gonna spend
before
any money.
then,
It still
so.
doesn't stop you from putting an RFP together, I don't think, does it?
Nope. So move forward.
Yeah, so they won't be used. I mean, it won't impede getting paperwork ready
Yeah.
out on the street.
Right.
And I think the committee could recommend where that is gonna be. Not, it wouldn't have to be at a special town meeting of how we're gonna spend that money.
Right,
Right,
no.
okay.
So, I mean, so let's say again, so that, what? So the committee would recommend that
The Parsons
the
Estate
Parsons
would
Estate funds,
would be used to reduce the cost of the project, to be on a warrant at a future town
Right.
meeting in the fall.
right, something like that.
Something like that, Libby?
yeah, hang on a second. I'm typing.
I can hear you.
Oh,
What about just using the Parsons Estate for pre-construction costs?
That's, I think something simple
want it-
like that.
So instead of just project, to reduce the cost of the
Just keep it-
project?
Yeah,
So we use pre-construction costs,
will be covered by the Parsons
will be
Estate
covered by the Parsons Estate?
for the senior center. Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you catch most of that, Libby?
no. To agree that the Parsons Estate funds will be used to reduce the
Pre-construction cost
reconstruction cost.
Of the senior center.
Of
of the senior center, just keep it simple, yeah.
At a future, all right.
Just leave-
Made a motion to agree that the Parsons Estate funds will be used to reduce the pre-construction costs of the senior center at a future town meeting in the fall.
Why don't we say pay for it instead of reduce?
Yeah, we were saying reduce the total, but if we're gonna use to pay for, if we're not just
Yeah.
taking the
Used to-
giant amount and just doing pre-construction costs, then, yeah.
Agree that the Parsons Estate funds will be used to pay for the pre-construction costs of the senior center at a future town meeting in the fall.
Close enough.
We know what we're talking about. The legalese will get in there eventually.
Yeah,
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
warrant
Yeah.
together, but we know what we're trying to say, I think.
Do we have another second for that? Jerry seconds?
Jerry seconds.
Okay, roll call vote.
Jerry, aye.
Ted, I.
Kate, I.
Chris, aye.
Dennis, I.
Janet, I.
Libby, aye.
Okay, great, thank you.
Good.
That was tough.
Thought we had a simple agenda until we did
That
it.
was simple.
So, all right,
Very simple.
a lot to think through.
Yep.
All right, so, the cost analysis, we requested PMC to update the cost analysis for the project. Their charge to do that was $2,500. Dennis and I met with Scott, approved that expenditure because we felt it was critical to get updated cost now.
And
'cause it's
timely.
in timely, yes.
Not so much now, but.
Yeah,
Is
considering
that,
we,
how are we paying for that?
that'll be out of the Parsons Fund unless there is money from the town to do that.
Yeah, remember we had put money aside by Clark Street and all that stuff, right? All those
Yeah. We have-
things. So
we
there
have
should
some
be an account
liquid
with,
funds.
yeah, liquid
Yeah,
funds
yeah.
for Bradley on that, so.
Yep.
We need to find out how much that is. I don't know what the account number is on that.
But that's the
We put
intention.
aside like $40,000, I think. at
Yeah,
one point in
yeah,
time.
yep, yep.
At least.
That was
No,
the
we had
same
the
for
money in there.
wetlands and other
Yeah.
stuff, the appraisal. So it should come out of there.
Okay.
Yep.
I just didn't know if the town wanted to kick it in or not. I was just asking.
Nice.
Sure.
Trying to slide that through.
I'll pass it
Okay,
back
all
momentarily.
right, but I just want to make sure the committee's aware that we did discuss it with Scott and Chris and agreed. We didn't have time to even wait till today, because we thought we wanted to get it back in time for
For the
March
warrant.
22nd at the moment, so, at that moment, so we move forward, so.
We should have it next week.
Yeah, we should have it next week. And hopefully it doesn't change much in 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully, I mean, this, because I think the seniors, I mean, the public safety came in a couple hundred less than I thought it was gonna be. So,
Yeah, it'll
public
be
safety is
interesting.
21.3 now.
yeah, but they were
Yep.
coming in at less than 1,000.
per square foot?
Wasn't it
I
nine?
didn't, yeah, that's interesting.
What is the square footage of
So
the,
it's 21.3 and the square foot is 21,523.
that's
So right
about
around a
1,000.
little less than, yeah.
Just a hair
Nine
under.
hundred and $50 or something, so we were in the 1,100, 1,200.
Okay.
So pray tell, this one comes in
Yeah.
similarly, that would be nice.
And I don't see how a public safety would be less than a senior center. I think the senior center would be a little bit easier and less expensive to build just because you don't have all the overhead doors and
Right.
decontamination and
You haven't seen
all
our
that
plans
stuff.
then? No. No, yeah.
I just hope these guys haven't forgotten something. It's what worried me when I saw the cost. But anyway, good.
Okay, Kate, I know you and Darcy's not here, met
Yeah.
with the planners, so do you have any thoughts on what to expect tonight,
I
or?
think it was really eye-opening for me. It was the first time I've seen everything kind of like as a, just overall, like with the maps and the different surface areas and whatnot. Stephen was on Zoom, Scott was there as well. In terms of who was there, we, is it Constantino? Sirios from Paisanos, he was there. We had Mark from the Greenway, Sierra was there from Housing. And then obviously the folks from Dodson and Flinker. I think it was a really good meeting. It was nice for them to kind of give us like an overview of to what to expect tonight. There was a really good really collaboration and just feedback in general. They're going to be doing a survey after the workshop tonight for those that are that have attended, and then I'm assuming for other folks that haven't attended, just in terms of what individuals are looking for different opportunities for the space. So
Okay.
it was good. I think they, was it this morning, this morning or yesterday sent out an updated version of the survey based off of feedback. So
there's gonna be a survey
Right.
after tonight?
after
At
tonight, yep,
Okay.
I think he said he's gonna do it on SurveyMonkey. It's gonna be available after the meeting, and then I had also offered to have ones done in paper, and we can do the data entry for some of our folks that don't have access to a computer to be able to do that. So I touched base with, was it Kyle that was here? Try and figure out how we can make it more accessible. One of the things that I'm hoping to do is, I'm assuming part of it's gonna be recorded tonight. Does that get determined?
Yeah, there's gonna be a small presentation that we're gonna record, and then I'm not sure how East Hampton Media is gonna do the rest, because it's gonna be an interactive workshop. So it's not gonna be just a presentation, but you're gonna be writing and moving and voting on stuff and putting stickers up and modeling
Yeah.
stuff.
So given the timing, everything, my hope is to be able to have like a viewing session at the senior center. That way folks can see it in action if they're not able to attend tonight, and then be able to provide information on the survey.
Starts tonight at 6?
6 o'clock,
6.
6 to 8:30 at Norris, so.
So so you're speaking? Just kidding.
No, be there for
But what,
support and help.
can you share with, kind of what Scott described as what we should expect tonight?
Yeah, so they have, it's like a getting settled and welcome. There's going to be a 30-minute-ish presentation. They're going to have question and answer, and then I think it's going to be 4 or 5 stations as to regarding like station design. So they're going to have a section talking about modeling the future, visual preference survey, town center, the SWOT analysis, broader area connections and build out, and then a report out after the fact. So folks are going to be able to see kind of like the maps and the layout of the land, be able to kind of play around, I'm assuming, with like little figurines. They're talking about homes.
Buildings that you
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and so everyone will be broken out into little groups, and we'll have the opportunity to engage with each of the different sessions. So
Okay.
Is there gonna be any effort to try to come up with a name? We had talked about that.
that's part of the survey.
Oh, that's part of the
Yeah.
survey, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I
so,
think Strawberry Meadows is in the front runner.
yeah, Southampton Commons was one of them, so.
Southampton on the Manhattan.
Yeah, yeah, so that
A lot
was
of
in
good ones.
it's one of the final questions on the
Okay.
survey.
Zero lot.
That's what
That's not.
It's gonna be a list of options, and people kind of vote on the
Vote on
options.
the
Yeah, so
options.
I think there's a couple on there to just kind of start the conversation, but then also it allows for suggestions.
Oh, it does,
So,
yeah, okay.
Good. Great,
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good. Okay, any other items that aren't on the agenda that we want to cover? Anybody?
No.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn at
Motion to adjourn at
1:31?
1:31.
Wait.
Wait,
Sorry. Oh, next meeting. Yeah, sorry, next meeting. I always kind of skip over that, don't I?
Have it in my minutes.
That was a great summary of what
you.
to expect tonight.
Yes,
really
that was good.
helpful.
Thank you.
And everybody's gonna be there, right?
I'll be packed.
I hope a lot of people.
I hope
do.
so, but, you know.
Scott and I really scratched our head looking at several different providers of his service. And I think we got a good one. But, you know, like you, I'm not gonna say anything tonight. I'm gonna take pictures and encourage people not to sit on their hands, but to express themselves.
You got a date?
Yeah, do you want to look at maybe March 27th after the annual? Is there any reason for us to meet before the special town meeting?
No, I don't think so.
We're all set now? So we kind of get a debrief after, see how things go, even
Our
though
window's
it's,
gonna be installed that day too.
Do we want to have any kind of flyers
So I would be.
out
would be
for
busy.
our project or
At
just
some
kind of an
point.
informational
Probably,
thing at
I don't know that we
March
need it,
27th?
need it at this, I don't
Or
know.
wait until May? The town meeting, regular
Can you
town.
buy a couple extra pages on the monthly,
Scoop, the senior
Scoop.
scoop?
and just have it dedicated to future senior center funds? At some point, I mean, no.
Yeah, but then we need to reach the other
Yeah.
part of the
If
population
you
as
have
well.
30
so.
flyers already printed out, I don't know why you wouldn't bring them.
Well, we can't bring them unless it's on the list to be distributed. I guess I'm not sure, I mean, pre-approved for distribution. So if there's nothing on the, so we could, I mean, the group put out the flyer that went out in the census, right?
Right,
So I don't know, and that went to every household.
Yes.
right.
So my question is, do we have
Anything?
anything to
add?
add since then?
Probably not.
I mean, we could put more of those flyers out that exist if we
I think
so
it might be
choose.
confusing.
Yeah, I think if we're not on it, then I'm
Yeah,
not
I
so
agree.
sure
Like,
that,
why are you telling us this now? Because
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
voting
are
on
we
it.
voting on this and then it's not on the warrant?
It's good for public safety though.
Hmm?
It would be good for public safety to have
Yes,
something.
they
Yeah.
need to have something, so. So I guess the question is, will we do that? And if we did, we might need to meet again, but is everybody comfortable with not having a handout at this particular special
I am.
town meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody
I'm-
object to that?
Thinking maybe in May we could have
We
something.
could possibly do something in May.
Right.
We should have more people to get
Yes.
information
Well,
to.
Okay, so
Make a motion
Is
to,
it-
oh, we didn't do the,
the 327, okay, that we'll get together
That's fine,
after,
right.
unless, if we need for some reason to get together before, we'll let you know, but that's a month down the road, so
yep.
we're good
March
with that.
27th at 12:30.
At 12:30?
Yep.
Will Carl be official by that time?
Oh, yeah, did we talk about that?
Yeah, that hasn't gone before the select board yet.
Okay.
It's on schedule for Tuesday.
It's on the schedule for Tuesday. Okay. Now do we have a motion to adjourn at 1:34?
Motion to adjourn at 1:34.
Second?
Second,
All in favor?
Jerry, aye?
Ted, aye.
Kate, I.
Here's that.
Dennis, aye.
Janet, aye.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.